Good evening, everyone. This is James Mason. I'm sorry to report that tonight's program shall be a bit unusual. Dungeon Delver has decided to bring on a guest, and this necessitates an earlier start. I trust this will not upset anyone's schedule. Now, on with the show. If a Monday evening can be said to be good Monday evening to you, everyone. How are you? It's good to see you, and it is good to be seen by you. And I, of course, am the one and only Bill Sylvie, a.k.a. the Dungeon Delver, and welcome to my little corner of the internet, Uncle Delver's TV Playhouse. And I hope you're all having an absolutely wonderful evening. Thanks for rolling in a little bit early. It's good to see you all out there in the audience. This was kind of going to be the mellow week, because we got the GWOC, the Great Underground Online Gaming Convention. That's starting in just a couple of days. We've got a lot of cool stuff planned. We got some great stuff happening. Jimmy Invictus, greetings to the VA hospital. Get better soon, brother. Yeah, this is going to be let's just kick back and not worry about anything, and we'll play some live AD&D tomorrow night. And then, just from Tuesday on, nope. Well, life is what happens when you're making other plans. So we have not one guest tonight, or one guest this week, rather. We do have one guest tonight. We have two guests this week because Aggie from Brave Halfling is going to be here on Wednesday evening about this time, but I'll talk to you guys about that at the appropriate time. And let me just give a shout out to the audience. Michael Dale, Wheeling Dragon, my dear, it's always good to see you. Flint Fireforge, Calvinoni. I had some delicious Calvinoni and white sauce the other night. Little Italian place, magnificent. Jimmy Invictus, again, brother, I hope you are feeling better. Some new metal, awesome. Wolverine. You must change your screen name to Jimmy Wolverine Invictus. Christopher Sackle, Flint Fireforge, Just a Passerby. I hope you're sticking in. Vaughn Giffard, hello. So welcome, everybody. And I know it's a bit unusual to have a guest on Monday, but that's what we got. Because let me tell you what, last week went completely off the rails on Thursday night. Now, if you're wondering, hey, what happened? What happened with Heidi and Eric? We haven't broken up, kids. Relax. They're gonna be here probably after the GWOC. They've got to go relax. They have been working hard. They have their own in real life con because they're much gutsier than I am. So they're going to go do that. And then they're going to relax a while. Then they're going to come on. But let me tell you what May is going to be like. Let me tell you what May is going to be like after the GWOC. We have got, in no particular order, Sky Hernstrom, pulp author Sky Hernstrom. We have got Rose Estes will be in the house. We've got Heidi and Eric. And we've got a special guest. We have a game designer, developer is going to be on our show. Secret. I'm not going to tell you guys who it is yet. But that's just the beginning of the summer. And then we've got June, and then we've got July. We have awesome stuff for you guys lined up. Michael Mertig in the house. Good to see you. Kabuki kid, if I didn't say hello to you. But listen, let's not worry about what's down the road. Let's think about what's right in front of us. Now, I am fortunate in that I have a really fun audience. I have met a few of you out there, but rare indeed is the Dungeon Delver fan that is proximate enough to me that I get to meet them face to face. So imagine my surprise. Imagine my shock when I found out that tonight's guest was literally, to quote John Fogerty, right up around the bend. So I got to play some AD&D face to face. She's a fascinating young lady who has some great takes on RPGs in general. She'll be starting her own YouTube thing soon enough, so I'm excited about that. More folks out here doing pen and paper stuff on YouTube is what makes me happy. So everybody, put your hands together, please, for the one and to date only Harmony Ginger.
Hi.
Good evening. Welcome.
Hey.
Thanks for being had. Vaughn, thank you for the super. I hope you're still kicking. But
I
anyway,
appreciate you calling me young. I gotta say, I like that part.
Well, hey, I mean, I pretty much hold down the old corner, you know. What can I tell you? I put the grog in grog nerd. But anyway, welcome to the show. Thanks for agreeing to be on. Now, as I was saying in the wind-up, I think you and I were on. We were together on T-Shirted's stream, T-Shirted Historian. If you're not subscribed, by the way, viewers, please go subscribe to T-Shirted Historian. He's here on YouTube. He puts together some great stuff. And I just kind of let it drop that I was in the Central Florida area, and you were like, I'm in the Central Florida area. And so it began. So it begins.
Yeah. We found out we were like 20 minutes from each other, something like that. It was pretty cool to find out live.
Exactly so. So we got to play some D&D. You, me, and a friend of yours played a little D&D, and you haven't blocked me on social media.
No.
And you agreed to be here. So I can only surmise that I was a somewhat cromulent DM. But in the playing of D&D, and I should point out, enjoying that delicious meal, we were all about the game. Tell us a little bit about yourself for our audience who has not been fortunate enough to cross dice with you.
So I'm, I guess, Harmony Ginger. I spend a lot of time shit posting on Twitter. I don't really do that much else noteworthy in this community. I run a lot of D&D, but I spend a lot of time on Twitter. I do a lot of D&D, and I don't know. Apparently, I live very close to you. There's not a whole lot to say.
Hey, we got Diecast Ironcaster in the audience. Elvin made in. Good to see you. Well, I guess we could ask the ye old boilerplate questions. How did you get started in RPGs and playing RPGs?
So I was not allowed to play when I was at home with my family. It was a forbidden thing just because Dungeons and Dragons, I grew up Southern Baptist, not okay. So I got my start when I was in college, really. And I started with 3.5 and did a little bit of 4th edition, a lot of 3.5. And then about the time 5th edition came out, I was in a group with like a DM that had some personal hygiene issues, and they were so bad that I ended up quitting RPGs for like 5 years over it. I'm not even kidding. That's really mean.
I completely understand.
And I really started, I came back and I started DMing probably around 2017 or 18. And I continued to kind of, I lurked for a while in the RPG community online, and I started adding my own stuff and contributing what I have to contribute around a year or so ago. And it's gone pretty well. I've quite enjoyed all the friends I've made here. They say a lot of toxic things about the RPG community, but I've found some very good people there.
Yeah, that's one thing is I have assiduously kept my Twitter feed free of anything that is not tabletop RPG for the most part. There's some generic geek stuff in there, like hey, who remembers Pac-Man? Well, of course we all remember Pac-Man, that sort of thing. But that's fine. But in doing so, I have found the Twitter RPG scene, at least where I like to dwell, is pretty darn awesome. You get some people coming in, that they drag the carcass of the dead equine in with them about various social issues. But I think you and I, and the folks that we know, our orbits, as it were, on Twitter, we're fortunate enough to kind of rise above that and stay on top of things. And there are some folks in the in the stream right now. Elvin Maiden I'm as toxic. No, you're not unless you have some kind of blood disease. Elvin Maiden is awesome. I think there's there's a good amount of folks out there, audience wise, that you and I both know and interact with, and it is surprisingly good. It's so different from how it was 2 years ago, when it was, like, pick a side, your team this or your team that. It seems very chill now, or maybe that's just because, like I said, I police my timeline and just ignore everything that's not let's talk D&D.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I wouldn't say I rise above all the culture war discourse. That is decidedly untrue. I have definitely gotten my hands a little bit dirty in the past, but for the most part, I'm here to play games. I will play games with people, agree with me or not. I don't particularly care what most of my friends' views on social issues are. Doesn't bother me either way. I just really am here to have discourse about games.
Well, there we are. That's good. And one thing, if you jump back a little bit, I definitely feel you on the satanic panic stuff, man. That came down, like, I got to playing D&D, I keep on the Borderlands, my first D&D book, yada yada yada. Everybody, I have told that story so many times, it's muscle memory in my jaw. But yeah, there was some point at which my parents got their hands on a chick tract or something, and then it was like, nope, all this is going in a box in the closet, and you're not gonna. And they go off to the mall or something like that, and I just go take that down and draw maps and read books and stuff like that. But I get my fix other ways. Atari 2600 fantasy themed games and choose your own adventure books and whatnot. But what I'm saying is, I feel you, sister. I really feel you.
Yeah.
So college, you ran into a cultist of Nurgle, and that put you off for a while.
Yeah. I remember the first time I sat down to play D&D. We didn't do the voices or anything like people in every group I am in now do. It was more describing what our characters were doing. But I mean, it was a long time ago, and it was fun. I say a long time ago. I was 18 at the time. So, oh God, let me age myself. It was about 16 years ago.
I see. And you say they did funny voices?
Yeah, but they didn't need to augment them. Yeah, see.
I love this thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It only does a few voices. I can't really go full ham with it, but anyway.
Yeah, no, but you did pretty good voices when we played in real life. That was neat. I liked them
very much.
I will say your feminine voices leave a lot to be desired, but that's okay. That is every single guy that DMs, and you don't want to hear my guy voices, so.
I'll just use this from now on. I'll just bring it with me everywhere.
Sounds good. It sounds just like a woman. I was fooled.
I'm sure you're just taking completely out of time and place.
Yeah, I thought you let your wife in to the stream.
So when you got in to when you really started rolling, so you said about 16 years ago,
something like that.
Yeah. So 16 years ago, that would have put us, I guess, at the tail end of third edition, right?
Yeah, it was third edition is what I started on. I believe I started on 3.5.
Okay. Now, did you know any grognards back then?
No.
Were there hairy, beardy guys going, "You
No.
whippersnappers should be playing old school"?
Nope.
Yeah,
It was a college gaming club, and I was excited to play D&D. It was called the Miskatonic Student Union.
love it.
And yeah, I joined the D&D group there, and it was a great time, but it was like all college kids, and I think they were just feeling it out too.
Right on.
Yeah. I wasn't really exposed to any of the previous generation that played until really I started going to Gen Con. I think that's where I was exposed more to that.
Excellent. So you have been to Gen Con now.
Several times I've worked it.
No way.
Yeah, I used to work it all the time.
I didn't know that. This big revelation. As much as we've talked, I didn't know that. What was the Gen Con gig?
So I was there. I was there doing demos for a company called Fantasy Flight Games.
I know of Fantasy Flight Games.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I used to run like their Cosmic Encounter demos, and I ran several demos for them over several Gen Cons and a couple of Origins.
That's awesome. Yeah, FFG makes some great stuff.
I did it from around 2014 to 2017, I think.
Mm-hmm. And do you have a...
Sorry, I was responding to a question in the chat. I am really, really excited about Kabuki Kid here because we have the same favorite game, but I have played Call of Cthulhu. I'm not especially a fan at all, but I'm sorry. Is it okay if I respond to the chat? I apologize.
Absolutely. If you see a question roll by and I miss it and you want to answer it, you just let me know. I think talking about Cosmic Encounter.
Cosmic Encounter. I can go on about Cosmic Encounter. It is my all-time favorite board game. It came out in the 70s.
That is correct. It did. I was I guess when it comes to FFG, my favorite from them, hands down, Descent: Journeys in the Dark, just because of all the Greeblies you got with Descent. Anything that replicates a good dungeon crawl. If I'm not going to play D&D and you say, let's play a board game instead, I'll say, fine, let's play Hero Quest or Dungeon.
See, that's interesting.
Descent.
I hate dungeon crawl board games. I really do.
Really?
Every time I play one, I think, why am I not just like playing an RPG? It just feels like a distilled down RPG. When I play a board game, I want to play something competitive usually. I mean, there are some co-op board games that are good. I've been playing some Spirit Island lately, but I really like my favorite type of board game are the ones where you're competitive with everyone at the table and you have some take that strategizing, some diplomacy going on. Like I really like kind of the 4X civilization building games, and Cosmic Encounter is very much a distillation of that down into an hour or two. And there's a lot of like bluffing and poker elements to it too, which I love. So I would say that was my favorite. Yeah.
Right on. So tactical competitive board games, say, have you ever played Space Hulk? Let me ask you that.
I haven't, but I know what it is.
Yeah. Do you enjoy something like that too, or just?
So I think my favorite board games, I probably would enjoy it if I played it. But I think my favorite are definitely the more Americanized ones. I don't really like Euro games. I've played a lot of Euro games. I don't really like them. But I really like the ones where I want to have an army and I want to be against multiple other people at the table who have an army, and I want to be able to ally with someone, and then I want to be able to break the alliance at any time I want. That's what I like.
We have got to get together one of these days, and there's no reason we can't. And get at least one other person in, possibly a couple. I have the perfect game for you. Once upon a time, Games Workshop didn't suck, and they made good games. And the one game they made, have you ever heard of their game Blood Royale?
I've heard the name. I don't know much else about it.
Blood Royale is right up your alley. It is a historical time period from the year 1000 to the year 1400. You take a major European power, and you have generations of kings and queens and princes and princesses, and you make alliances through marriage. You have different provinces in your countries that have goods. You make war on your allies, or on your enemies, and then you can stab your allies in the back. I rather think you'd like it, and I was lucky enough to pick one up for a song, because we played that back in college. I think we played a single game for a year. We'd play an hour or two a night. But it is.
I probably would love that. I mean, so that's kind of in the 5-year span where I didn't really play any RPGs. I played a lot of war games like that. I wasn't sure if most people consider this stuff to be war games, because I wasn't sure if the term war game meant like Warhammer, like skirmishes, or if it encapsulated 4X games. But I played a lot of those in that period where I was out of RPGs. So I really approach RPGs now from kind of a war game perspective a little bit. And whoever asked if I played diplomacy, yes, I have. I would say probably my favorite like that, aside from Cosmic Encounter, is Twilight Imperium. But yeah, I've played diplomacy.
You are formidable. I have never been brave enough to try diplomacy out. That is one.
Like it's actually the rules aren't that hard at all. It's just more it's an all day commitment, and you gotta be ready to know that you will be betrayed. It's fine. It just comes with the territory of those games.
Well, that's cool. I've got to give that a try. Actually, my wife's father was an old school Avalon Hill guy, and they would play diplomacy and Rise and Decline of the Third Reich.
Can you say that on YouTube?
I'm sorry?
I said, can you say the name of that game on YouTube? I'm not even sure.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, we got to be careful talking about the mustached corporal.
Right.
But he just kind of gradually got out of it over the years, and I think we've got the last of his sets. But unfortunately, he took his copy of Dune back. So, he's
was it like the old Dune board game or the new Dune board game?
The old Dune board game, the one from the 60s.
You mean the one? Yeah, I think, is that the one that was made by the same guys that made Cosmic Encounter? Because I think it is.
Avalon Hill, I think so.
I believe that was made by the same designers as Cosmic Encounter. It's actually a really good game.
Yeah, it had two. It actually had two components. It had like a beer and pretzels pickup game where it was shield dueling.
Yeah,
just a tactical game, but you could fold in the results of that into the strategic universe building game of Dune, and I quite like that. Albuquerque Halsey says diplomacy is the game that all your friends were at a conference room at a hotel to play. Absolutely.
Yeah, I will share. I played not diplomacy, it was Megasiv, which is a diplomacy style game, in a conference room one time at Gen Con with Peter Adkison.
Wow. That is so cool. I'm geeking out.
Nobody believes me. There's a picture somewhere of like me and oh shit, I just bumped my mic. I hope that wasn't bad. Of like me, Peter Adkison, and like a bunch of other people. But like I'm even afraid, like I don't actually know where that photo is anymore. It's somewhere on Facebook. But I'm afraid to show people now because like you can like look through that photo and there's like a lot of people have gotten in a lot of trouble since then that are in that picture with me. So it's not great.
My gosh. Well, after the show tonight, you'll have to
I will.
Got some supers coming in. Lux Armok. I hope that's just in reference to Rise and Decline of the Third Reich.
I think so.
And decline and fall of the Third Reich is folks who think Axis and Allies isn't complimented enough. I love ANA. I like ANA also. I've got a couple of different flavors of ANA kicking around here. So,
I normally don't play. ANA is like a 1v1 skirmish game, right?
No, you can.
No?
Well,
Okay.
there's Axis and Allies miniatures, which was a collectible booster pack game that just bore the ANA name, and it didn't really have anything to do with the old Milton Bradley game.
Okay.
But the Milton Bradley Axis and Allies game,
interesting.
You could have Germany, Japan, and Germany. There was no. Well, you can play Germany, Japan, and Italy. You can play Germany and or Japan. And
I think probably because of the name, I thought it was like a 1v1 skirmish game.
No, it is a game of strategic resource management. Yeah. You can have as many people playing as there are countries, or you can just have, John, you're the Axis, Bob, you're the Allies.
So I might actually enjoy that. Now I don't normally play like war games, like where it's 1v1 skirmishes, with one exception. There is one game that I really love that fits that description, and that is Twilight Struggle. It's about the Cold War. I don't know if you know that one.
I know the name. I know the name, and I've heard of it.
That's one of my favorites.
But right around the time that Axis and Allies came out from Milton Bradley, they released, I think, now I'm sure somebody in the audience is going to catch me up on this, the Game Master series of board games. Because this was a time when Family Game Night was Pachisi, Monopoly, Life, if you wanted a big complex game. And then Milton Bradley dropped these in the 70s or 80s. There was Axis and Allies Shogun, which I still regret not buying Shogun, although probably would sit unplayed. Fortress America, which was an interesting, because that was that came out either just around or just before the film Red Dawn, and basically dealt with it was a skirmish game where you had factions fighting to overthrow an invading government that had attacked the U.S. Let's see, Axis and Allies, Shogun, Fortress America. I want to say that there was like a fourth big one that they came out with, but they were Conquest of the Empire, Broadsides. Yeah.
I never really played those. It might be interesting to go back and play now, because I might like them more than I think I would.
Well, we'll have to stick Axis, because I have Axis and Allies, so we'll have to just add Axis and Allies to the pile, along with Blood Royale of games we will have to get together and play one of these days
someday.
So you worked at Gen Con, you did all this board gaming stuff, and but clearly you kind of stuck to the fold, as it were, and you came back into TTRPGs, and like myself, went to shit posting on Twitter about it. Always an honorable trade. So, and I see now you kind of you've been talking a lot about one-to-one time in your games, and that is something. Yes, I was going to get there. You knew I was going to get there. That is something that, generally speaking, we tend to associate with a more groggy crowd. If you're using anything more than chainmail and the three little brown books, you're effete. So you're using one-to-one time in at least one of your games, and I want to go there. I want to dive into that pretty deep. Well, we've got you this evening, but so you had said initially, at least, you didn't get into older versions of D&D, at least older than third edition. Not building up my own ego or anything like that, but was, when we played AD&D, was that the first time you'd played first edition AD&D?
Technically second, but first time in recent memory.
Okay.
I would probably say it was my first experience after I had enough experience behind me to really understand the differences. But technically my second. But yeah, I had a good time with it. I actually liked the flow of combat. I've tried to run initiative actually similar to the way it's run in AD&D and done like a side initiative before. But unfortunately, as most of my games are online, doesn't particularly work on Discord because people are trying to talk over each other, and it turns out on Discord, it seems for me, as who talks loudest goes first. So I haven't tried that again though since the last time, so I might. But yeah, no, it was basically my first time playing. Sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
No, that's entirely okay. And if oh no, she went off on a tangent. Audience, whatever are we to do?
exile.
Trust me, this is the off to the neutral zone with you. We are the kings and queens of weaving off topic around here, but I don't think it was that off topic at all. But I will say that the one thing, and maybe this will help, maybe it won't, is if you go down the line, I have found, I've got an 11-person AD&D game playing later tonight, starting at 10. If you go down the
11
line,
person?
yeah,
like, do they all 11 of them show up?
Yes.
I want to stop you there. I'm interested in that. All 11 of them show up to like one game. It's not like
yes,
5 or 6 show up.
Yes, we've had as many as 15, but that's a little chaotic.
A little.
Yeah.
You're telling me 15 people playing AD&D at a time is a little chaotic for you?
I've DM'd 24 at a convention at an AD&D game.
I can't. I don't go over like 6 is the maybe 6. Like I try to keep.
So what you're saying is you don't want to come play D&D with us tonight?
No, I don't. I'm not going to be shy about saying that. I'm not going to beat around the bush with you, Bill. I don't want to play AD&D with 24 people.
Note to self. But no, we've got 11. We've had as many as 15, but I think we've settled in at 11 is where we're going to be. Possibly might get a 12th, but that's
are you still looking for people?
No. Let me be 100% clear.
I know the old versions of the game are built to support a lot of people, but I don't think that means at the table at one time.
Well,
I think that means like how does that go for you?
Well, we start off in a round. I'm being interviewed by my guest. This is pretty cool. We start off in a round and I'll say, okay, all right. We wrap up with the losers initiative attacks. And then I'll say, okay. And I'll just start reading down the list of names. Aurora, what are you doing? Dan, what are you doing? Alan, what are you doing? And I get their actions and I go down and I just, to give people stuff to do, we'll start at the top, the first person in the list. Yeah. We'll roll initiative first, for the next round. And then when we roll initiative, I just go down and have everybody rolling their attacks. Or if I want initiative, I roll my attacks against them.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds so chaotic though.
Well, I mean, it's worked for 10 years. So
okay. No, I trust your method. I just don't want to be in a group of 11 people.
No, I completely understand. I completely get it. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's what I was getting at was, as far as doing group initiative, if you just start at the top of your list, just get all group intentions and then roll initiative, and then they're kicking off. They're committed to the actions, and you don't, somebody says, oh, I know I said I was going to cast sleep, but I've changed my mind. No,
too bad.
Sleep spell is going off.
Yeah, I actually really do like that. You were talking about our AD&D game. That is one thing I really, really enjoyed about AD&D is how you declare your actions and then you roll initiative to see the order that they happen in. I think that's pretty great, actually. I would love to run with that. Unfortunately, side initiative's been a bit chaotic over at Discord, but you know, that was probably my favorite part about it.
Right. It can be interesting. Well, I hope I haven't frightened you. I promise if we get that face-to-face group going that every other week, I will not find 10 other people and show up at your house with them. That
If you show up at my house with 10 people, I'm making you leave. I will kick you out.
Heard loud and clear.
Just tell me.
I was thinking for a local group 3 or 4. As I said, at a convention, I've run 24.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never actually run D&D at a con. I have always demoed board games at conventions. Yeah.
And how big were the crowds at the game demos, if I may?
Big. A lot. Yeah.
24 people?
No.
Okay.
No. Not that big. But like around there's like a big crowd. I just kind of get whoever was interested. I got lucky because they would saddle me with like the new release games that I'd never played before. So I'd have to like learn them the day before.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like
the worst one. Yeah. The worst one was they switched my game like the day before to a game that was just coming out that year. It was called Innis. INIS. Unfortunately, there's probably still a video out there of me trying to explain it because I got the first day I was there trying to run the demos. I just learned the game myself. I had like some YouTube channel was showcasing it and they interviewed me about it and I'm like I barely know who I'm talking about, and I think I messed up a rule because the designer of the game hunted me down and he was like no, this doesn't work this way. But I just read the rule book the night before. There were no like how to play videos on YouTube. I just learned it from the rule book and I tried to get everything right. I just messed up one rule and I felt so bad because I blew that one. Yeah. Anyway,
Firefly said Guinness. Yeah, I'm in.
No. It was. I think it was a Celtic game or something. It was based on Celtic folklore. I think it was called Innis.
That fits. Yeah. Kabuki played Innis. Says it's a good game.
Yeah, it was a good game. I just misunderstood the rule book the first time I read it somehow.
That'll happen. But I mean, most of us could have, days or multiple play sessions to figure out that rule. You were thrown to the lions quite literally. Kabuki has a question here for you. Any connection to Corey I'm not even going to try that.
Kaniska. He's I think he was an LCG designer, right? If he was on LCGs, I think I've met him. I want to say I have met him, and I believe I play tested one of his games, but I'm not 100% on that. I may be thinking of someone else. But if he's an LCG designer, yeah, I know who that is.
Excellent.
I appreciate that, Ginger. All right. We can move on.
Okay. So now that you have been running D&D for a while, tell us, because this is something that the other day, and this is actually what sparked, I was going to have you on the show one way or the other. Okay. You were going to be here. If I had to show up with a mobile unit, you were going to, but all kidding aside, but the topic of one-to-one time came up, and I'm just a primitive, unfrozen caveman lawyer, Harmony. I don't understand. I'm frightened by your futuristic ways. Help me get my head around one-to-one time, because I feel like there's something there that's kind of cool, but the idea, like I was doing the math the other day, a 2-week trip across Greyhawk from one city to another. And I think it was, I can't remember if I was doing the Greyhawk to Verbobank or Greyhawk to to where was it? To someplace that was 2 weeks away would require, I think, 86 3-hour sessions. If you're doing
no,
it
that's
one
not
to
how it
one.
works. That's not how it works
Okay.
at all. You
Cool.
have a complete misconception of how it works.
Awesome. Fix
yeah.
me.
Okay. So one-to-one time is a method of tracking downtime mostly. You want to have a real world calendar that meshes exactly, or a game calendar that meshes exactly with the real world calendar. So that means that every real life day that goes by, that is a day in game that goes by. And at first, that idea seems to have a lot of obvious flaws in it. Like, well, what if we're traveling? That's a boring session. What do we do? Or why you can't end a game in a dungeon anymore? Like things like that. Those are some very obvious flaws to the idea. But what people don't see is the obvious benefits, because there are benefits to using a calendar like that. Because if a player misses a session, they don't need to ask me. They don't need to check any calendar. They know exactly how much time has gone by. They know exactly how much downtime they have to work with. They should know what they can do with that downtime. So there's that. It makes for very, very good drop in, drop out play. Now, if you are traveling, like for example, my players might travel from one city in our world to another city in our world soon, and that's going to take them about 3 weeks to do. If we are traveling for those 3 weeks, we don't do like session by session, like this is what happens the first 3 hours of your travel. No, that's terrible. Nobody does that. We don't want to do that. What we would do is we have a couple options. One is one of those sessions can be a travel session, because it is going to take them 3 real world weeks to go from city to city, right? So we could have a travel session. We could have 3 travel sessions even if we want to. But there's actually another option. So we might have 1 travel session, but another option here is the whole world is moving. Like there are things happening in other parts of the world too. And why not explore that? My players, a lot of them have more than 1 character. In fact, I think all of them in that game have created more than 1 character, that they're kind of going back and forth, leveling at the same time. One character can be going somewhere. One character can be doing something else. They can have a party in one city and a party in another city, because the whole world is moving, not just like the players, right? In a game like this, when you can affect the world in more than one place at a time, it becomes like really about the world. This is something that Dundermoose said that I really liked. I had an interview with him a couple weeks ago. Is the world kind of becomes the main character in that sense. And when you have players that can influence the world in their downtime in more than one way, then they have more investment in the game, and that allows them to do more than like you play a game and then time pauses until the next game, and then time pauses until the next game. They don't have the ability to affect things in between games that way as they do if you play one-to-one time. Like, for example, oh God, I had an example, but I lost it. Just kidding. There's no example. But I've lost my train of thought. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting a little frazzled.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, so but the DM can always like prepare things in between games, right? Like you can change things in the world in between games, but the players usually can't. If they don't have downtime, the players can't change things in between sessions. But if they do have downtime, they know exactly how much downtime they have, because I mean, it's a week, it's 7 days. It lets the players prepare in the same way that the DM can prepare. Does that make sense?
Yes, on paper, what you said makes sense. This is something, and I am not trying to invite myself to one of your games, but I would have to see this functioning. It's like you can tell me how a car's transmission works, but it's literally something I've got to see, the gears meshing. I understand the concept now. I understand the concept a lot better. And so let me bounce back to you. Hey, CB.
Yeah, a couple of the players in my one-to-one game are in the chat right now. Ice543 and CB are both in my one-to-one game.
Oh, excellent. So let me bounce back to you, because I use this example. Again, we go back to the Greyhawk to Verbobonk. Players say, hey, we're going to Verbobonk because that's where the only place they sell Eye of Newt that we can get to make blah blah, whatever reason we had to go. we have some role playing in Greyhawk. We wrap up and we're making sure we've got enough feed for the horses, enough rations for our men at arms, a cart to put any extra gear in, etc. Great, awesome. I'll see you guys next week. They're at the inn, they're resting up, they're leaving dawn of the next day. I then take the following days and check the terrain along the way for encounters. Now, I have had a month's journey across the Greyhawk map through the howling wilderness, and I never rolled a single one for a random encounter.
Okay.
It was literally, you guys leave on this day of the Greyhawk calendar, you arrive on this day of the Greyhawk calendar. And they say, well, did anything? No, nothing happened. It was an uneventful journey. And then there's times when 8 hours after you leave the postern gate of the city of Greyhawk, you run into 4 ogres just bumbling across the countryside, and the next day it's an encounter with wild cattle, and then the day after that it's 4 wyverns in a lair, and so on and etc. But I have the travel fully planned out, and again, if it's uneventful, your journey to Verbobog was uneventful. Otherwise, I'll just say the first few days are calm. Then it's checking the time. Midday of the 3rd day of your journey, you hear the crack of leathery wings overhead. How does that, or does that even remotely fit into this model?
Yes.
It does.
It
Great.
fits quite well, actually. And
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because during the session, you are not playing. Okay, so you are in the real world playing the same day every week, probably, right? Like, for example, my 1-to-1 game meets on Wednesday night. That doesn't mean the session has to actually take place on Wednesday night in world. In fact, that session, we can do anything that would have happened that week. So if we have one day where there's no encounters, one day where there's a lot of counters, I'll be like, okay, on the 3rd day of your travel this week, you're going to fight this, this, and this. This is what was rolled, right? So it doesn't have to be the exact time of the encounter. And also, if there's nothing that you roll, if it's just going to be an uneventful journey, then they still have to commit the time to making that journey. And that does a couple things. One, it basically makes them think about long travel. It makes long travel feel important. It makes it feel like a big commitment, like, okay, we've gotten everything we need for this travel. Now it is going to take us 2 real world weeks to get there. So what do you do in the meantime in those 2 real world weeks? Well, there's probably something going on in Greyhawk, or maybe you can go somewhere else, or perhaps I bet you have at least one player who would love to run a one shot of what is going on in another part of the world, because that can come back and affect the main characters somehow. It really can. Like, you can switch DMs if you do that. You can do anything anywhere else in the world, or you can just have a travel session. But it adds to the weight of the travel. Like, if I leave from Greyhawk and where did you tell me we were going? I forget.
Verbobong.
Okay, if I leave from Greyhawk to Verbobong, then, and you tell me, all right, your travel was uneventful, it takes you 2 weeks, you're there. That didn't feel like it took very much time. It felt like we teleported, right? And like, I'm not saying that that's how it always feels, but I mean, that's it. It doesn't really have the weight of travel. If it takes you 2 real world weeks to go there, I mean, yeah, that has a lot more weight on it. It makes players think, like, do we really want to travel here? Because it's taking us 2 weeks to go there, and it will take us 2 weeks to come back if we're going to travel back. So it basically makes players really question if they want to do that. And also, it allows you to focus on something that happens somewhere else. Now, I know a lot of my players in particular, maybe a lot of I think a lot of players have like this thing where they have a whole folder of D&D characters that they've made but haven't used yet. This is a chance for them to use them. Let them introduce another character in Greyhawk while they're gone. And you can still explore what is happening in Greyhawk because the whole world is moving. There are events happening everywhere in the world. Time is marching on no matter what your players are doing at the same pace that time marches on in the real world. So if you just let your players create other characters and continue to play, then you can go through that easy. Travel works perfectly fine with one-to-one time.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you, and I rest assured, I'm not baiting you, and I'm not like, haha,
That's
I'm going to
fine.
pretend not to get it.
Oh, I don't mind.
But if I'm understanding you, I have my 11 person group. They head out on their journey, wherever it's to, a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months. If I'm understanding what you're saying, if that's an uneventful 6 months, rather than say you leave the city of Greyhawk, you arrive in the land of black ice, nothing happened. Instead of that, you leave the city of Greyhawk. This journey will take 4 weeks of overland travel. In the meantime, let's go over here and do something with a different set of characters to fill that time where things are going on. Am I understanding it? Am I getting the
that is one thing you can do. If you roll absolutely nothing, yeah, you can do that. If you roll something, it's good to focus on the traveling characters. But if you roll nothing, yeah, just focus on other characters. Because I'm sure there is something happening in Greyhawk. Because I'm sure if the players are going out traveling like that, I'm sure that was an agonizing decision. If they're like, okay, but we want to stay here for something in Greyhawk, but at the same time we want to go and travel for this Eye of Newt or whatever it is, then I mean, there is still stuff going on in Greyhawk that they can do. And in fact, it might be fun to explore it with new characters. You can definitely do that.
Okay, well, I think I'm getting a handle on this, and it sounds kind of fat. I feel like maybe I was halfway there, you know, like because the world does move without the party, and I think a lot of DMs, particularly if you're using overland travel or even in dungeon travel, you can run into what's called, I don't know if you've heard this term before, the quantum ogre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the quantum for the audience is, it's like, you look at a line of hexes between city A and city B on the map, and the group says we're going from city A to city B, and at exactly the midpoint, you go, aha! I'm rolling up the encounters. There's ogres here. They're in their lair. They have slaves. They have wolves. They have treasure. And the party says we're going to follow this trail around. And so now, do you have the ogres just appear there anyway, or do you leave them where they were to their own devices? You know, do you say, no, damn it, I rolled up an encounter and it's going to happen, and I'm going to put this on, I'm going to stick this on top of the party? I believe that if you put the ogres there, stick a pin in your map or color on it or do whatever, maybe they'll come back through that way. Maybe
Sure.
You'll come up with an idea later for something fun to do with those ogres. I mean, I had now you've read the AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide, right? Oh, thank you very much, Black Lodge Games.
I've read some of it. I reference it.
It's
Ginger. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So the AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide has fantastic hex crawl stuff in it for filling up individual, it's like you take out your World of Greyhawk map or your any blank map that just has kind of a howling wilderness. What's in that hex? It could be hundreds of things just in that one hex, right?
Yeah. They're like 6 mile hexes, right? Yeah. Could be hundreds.
Yeah. So the party was going, we were getting ready to play S4, and I ran into the Quantum Ogre, or in this case, the Quantum Castle. The party, I assumed they were going to just basically carve a straight line, and when they saw this forested area on the map, they're like, there's no damn way we're cutting through those woods. Bill's going to ambush us with every possible monster he can. We're going to go around to the city of High Folk. We're going around that forest. Well, I had diced up days of travel through there, and there's a castle, there's knights in it. I rolled up personalities, I came up with subplots, but as far as I'm concerned, that castle's still in there. that castle's still functioning.
They might come back.
They might come back to it someday.
They didn't deal with whatever evil was happening with the castle. And if you're moving at 1-to-1 time, these villains have just as much time to prepare as the players. So when they come back through that way, they're going to be infinitely harder.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or it may have been something really awesome and cool that was at the castle that they've missed. You know, it's like, oh, you should have been here 6 seasons ago, my lord. We had a great tournament, and a magical sword with a mind of its own was given out to the winner. Oh, suffer you. Ultra American TTRPGer says I sound like Ryan. I'm not sure who Ryan is in this context, but okay.
There are 2 Ryans he could be talking about is the thing. I don't know if he means Ryan Howard or Ryan David.
Or possibly Ryan George.
Oh, geez.
Super easy, barely an inconvenience. There have been some supers here, and I'm not ignoring you guys. Black Lodge Games, thank you very much. Says, my understanding is travel as normal in session, play what happens at destination, play new characters next session until calendar catches up to party. Is that a good summation?
That's one way you could do it, or you could actually play the travel, because if you did roll up some travel encounters, I mean, players are happy to play those out a lot of times. It gives you some leeway. You can kind of do it the way you want to. But no matter how you do it, I mean, you just keep always to one real life day equals 1 in-game day. And if you keep doing that, it works out very, very well for the players. At least it has in my games, because they've been plotting with each other. Right now they're kind of trying a casino heist, which totally has nothing to do with travel, but they've been like plotting with each other around this casino heist all week. And it allows them to go collect reconnaissance and do all sorts of infiltration. I have one guy who is waiting for the orders to go to this guy's door and beat him up. Like, there's a lot of things that they can do in between game sessions. Yeah. That's Ice in the chat. He's
yes,
it's his crime. But yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you really want to with 1-to-1 time. If there's something going on that's like really boring, and in a week they're going to be there and it's not going to matter, you can skip the travel and focus on something else and then come back to them in a week. Like, players can have more than one character in different parts of the world. In fact, it allows them to have more sway over what's going on in the world.
Well, here's a question Emmy's got, because I was going to come to this. What if dungeon is 2 days away from end of session, but next session is in 7 days?
I don't know what she means. What if the dungeon is 2 days away from the end of the session? What if it's 2 days out, but the next session is in 7 days? You can play a 2-day travel. You go to the dungeon and then you go back the 2-day travel, or they can travel between sessions. But so also it is important to note that the 3 to 4 hour session you have, you can do anything that would have happened that week. So if you say part of our downtime is we are traveling over here to go to this dungeon, then during the game you can play out the dungeon and then they go back during some more of their downtime. Like, the 1-to-1 encapsulates everything between games. It's shorthand for an overarching rule of how time passes in the world. It does not necessarily mean 1-to-1 time in game. In fact, that's ridiculous. Nobody would ever play 1-to-1 time in game, because you can't, like, on your you're telling people to take their turns in 1 minute or 6 seconds, depending on the edition you're playing. You're telling people to play out like 3-hour travel times. No, that's silly. But during the session, you can play out anything that would have happened that week. So if there's like a festival that happens on that Friday, but you are playing on Wednesday, then yeah, your game can be about the festival. That's perfectly fine. It is just a rule of thumb. 1 real life day equals 1 in session day. It allows your players to know exactly how much downtime that has. It's so easy. You don't need a calendar for your game. They can check the real world calendar and they know. We actually have a calendar for our game where I write down all the players' birthdays and stuff. And the holidays. Yeah, it's pretty great. The player characters, not the players. I don't know their birthdays. I just know the characters' birthdays.
Okay. All right, cool. Looks like Emmy picked up on that. Now, listen, one thing, and you and I, you can shoot spitballs at me the next time we're at the gaming table, or say bad things about me or block me on Twitter, however you want to do it. One thing I will not back down on, and may they kick me out of the Bro SR gym for saying this. If the game wraps up, if the party is in the dungeon tunnel, and I'm like, crap, guys, it's 1:05 in the morning here, because we play from 10 to 1. That's from 7 to 10 for my West Coasties, and I got a lot of West Coastie gamers. We're walking down the dungeon tunnel. Yes, there's a pause button. We will pause and then pick it up. I know that's anathema, but so sometimes there's no real world time to turn around and march out of the dungeon. It's just not.
So for that specific scenario of what if we end in a dungeon, there are a couple things to note about that with one-to-one time. First of all, your players will amend the way they play. They will play around the rules of the game. And if the rules of the game are ending in a dungeon is very bad, they're not going to do that. They're going to plan around that. So first of all, that's not necessarily your fault if it happens. It's the player's fault. Second of all, there are a couple things you can do to make it easier for them to get out. Like I've seen a couple examples. First of all, a lot of times if the dungeon is smaller, oh my God. Hi, Alchemy Breaker. I'm sorry. But if the dungeon is smaller, a lot of times you can turn around and walk out. It's not that hard. If you are in the middle of combat, if your players actually start combat like right at the end of a session, which first of all, they probably won't. But second of all, if they do that, at the very worst, you can probably play it out at some point this week. Like if the players leave, their characters don't just stand there like statues and take hits. Like, I don't like playing other people's characters for them, but it's not like your players leave and their characters just deanimate and like ragdoll fall over in the dungeon and the monsters start beating them up and it's like, you left and now you die. No, that doesn't happen. That's stupid. No. So, I mean, they will probably finish the combat, get outside, start camping, something like that. Yeah, I've heard a little bit about 4-to-1 time lately, and I'm not actually sure. I don't think it's a meme. I think it's a real thing, and I don't actually know that much about it. I can't really speak to 4-to-1 time. I did a lot of research. I read a bunch of blogs out there, and yeah, I'll say I read Jeffro's blog about it actually, and I read a bunch of blogs out there about 1-to-1 time, and I tried to read a bunch about it before I tried it, and it has actually worked out very well. But I don't know much about 4-to-1, so I'm not going to say anything about 4-to-1.
So Fire Forge asked, do I do flashback backstory stuff for characters, or do you keep it all as current day? Now, if I may, if there's stuff like we've had time in game where there's been a lot of politicking, a lot of in past games dealing with the church. Seems it came up a lot because I had a guy who played an absolutely amazing cleric, and there were reasons that he was constantly talking with the ecclesiarchy of the Church of Heronius in that game. But frequently he might say, "Hey, Bill, I'm going to go to the Cathedral of Heronius here in Greyhawk and discuss this situation with him." Sure, awesome. And this is one of the unfortunately one of the negatives of having 11 players in a game. I can't really disconnect from 10 other players and RP with him for 20 minutes, but we can hash that out in an email or a private Discord call later at some point in the week. And that is prologue to everything I say. Okay, you go and discuss that with him. Now you're back with the party. And what happened there, we come and we redress during the week. It's kind of human wetware multi-threading, and it can get a little chaotic sometimes, but that's how I do. But Harmony, Your
Yeah,
take?
that's certainly something that they could do in downtime. Now, as far as flashback backstory stuff, I have kind of a rule in my games where I tell people if your backstory is longer than a tweet, it's too long. If it can fit in a tweet, it's the right length. Um, that's the backstory stuff.
Damn
But
right.
yeah, no, I think that's the appropriate length of backstories because I'm always more interested in the stuff that your character does during the game than before the game because I run complete sandbox games. Characters can do whatever they want. I start out with very little prep, with not much in the way of quest hooks. I'll maybe throw out a few early, and I'll kind of look at different character goals and see what they want to do. A tweet right now they increased it. How long is a tweet? I don't know.
It's
I write
240
until
characters.
242 characters. There we go. I just write until Daddy Musk yells at me to delete characters. So
Yeah,
that's
same. I mean, if you have a paid account, it's like 4,000. So be careful saying, "Well, if your character, okay, here you go. Here's all 12 pages." I have a paid account, Harmony. That's 4,000 characters for me.
No, I'm not going to read it.
You're not going to read that.
You can write it, but it's for you, not me. I'm not going to read that.
That's fine.
Like, what, you think I have unlimited time to dedicate to the game? I don't.
Yeah. Vincent says running a real-time game seems like a lot of work and micromanaging of activities. And yes, it is. It is. It's keeping it's like driving stick. It's clutch, gas, brake, hand on wheel, hand on stick shift. But if you're flying down the highway at 80 miles an hour, you're in fifth gear and you don't have anything to do except, keep an eye out for traffic that you've got to drive around. So, I mean, that's my take on it. Alchemic Raker says, I've got $8 in a drink. Well, super chat it here then. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I kid about the super chats. I don't kid about, one thing I don't kid about is, please, folks, if you haven't clicked the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications, please do that. It really helps me out. And if you're watching this after the fact and you want to say something nice to me or to Harmony or to the other people in the chat, or something terrible to me or Harmony or the other people in the chat, leave a comment down below. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and I'll keep doing that. And if you don't like the video, give it a thumbs down and I'll stop doing that. So I'm eager to please. So
I swear it seems like all of the players from this game are in the chat. At least 3 of them are.
A takeover. You're moving it on.
Is that Greg? That's Greg. Ah, hi. Anyway.
QPF says I lose half the live stream talking about manual transmissions. Oh, I will meander. I will meander. You got to watch out for me. TB Flower says enjoy following Harmony on Twitter and I've begun watching Delve. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, TB. I appreciate that. Ice says we're having a watch party.
Oh no.
And Daddy Musk sounds like a dealer in a cyberpunk novel. Yes, yes, indeed. No, that's fine. That's fine, Wheeling Dragon. I know you're here. So now the one place I will brutally adhere to one time myself, and I didn't even realize I was doing it because I didn't realize it was a thing until recently, but that I had done it, is convention RPG sessions. No, you're not going to take 2 weeks to do this. No, you're not going to go camping. You are in the scenario. That clock is running. This table will be occupied by some people running a Pathfinder game in 3 hours. Get it done. Yeah. Get it done now.
Yeah, I don't really run convention games. I haven't ever run a convention RPG. I've only run board games and board game tournaments at conventions.
Well, speaking of conventions, you got a chance if you want to change that. Because kicking off Wednesday, we have the Great Underground Online Gaming Convention.
Oh God, it's online. Yeah, I'll get back to you. We'll see. Probably not. I don't really like conventions anymore. There are too many people.
I'll just throw the link out there just in case anyone is interested or you haven't heard about it. It's a little thing we do. Cost is $0 folks. So if you're interested in checking that out, go give it a look. We've got merch. We're going to have giveaways. We got guests coming. It's going to be very cool. You should definitely check out the guac.
Yeah, I might. I'm saving the link. I like the little guac monster. It's actually pretty cute.
That's actually pulp author Sky Hernstrom. I had him on the show. Was it last year or the year before? I don't remember. He is an awesome dude. Loves old school D&D, and he couldn't be here for this year's con. He's got 2 little ones. He is forever busy. But he did the logo for the con this year, the guac. So we salute you.
I like
Sky.
it. I think it's cute.
It is.
Like
You can get it on merch. We actually have merch for it. So I will put that link up too. Dungeon Minister is hosting the merch for me, so it doesn't just help Dungeon Minister, or it doesn't just help me. It helps Dungeon Minister. So you can check that out. The last con I went to that wasn't me running the guac. Well, I went to Gary Con. My audience made that happen for my wife and I. It was all because of one guy, and he sparked the idea, and then a whole lot of people in my audience got behind him, and they got us up to Gary Con, and that was just so awesome of them. And it was a lot more crowded than I expected it to be. There had to be a few thousand people there. Had to be. Which for me is that's very crowded, very people-y.
Yeah, I've been to Gen Con in years where there were like 25,000 people there. It's insane.
I think that started in Gary's basement.
Yep.
that convention was 20 people in Gary Gygax's basement. 330 Central Street, I believe.
Yeah, so I hear. I wasn't alive then.
I was, but I did not care. So
I've never been to BGG Con. No, I went to Gen Con because I used to live up close to there. And same with Origins. I lived up in the Midwest. I believe BGG Con's in Texas? I think it's in Texas, but I'm not 100% on that.
Not sure.
Since I moved to Florida, I haven't been to a single gaming con, and honestly, I don't miss them. I prefer gaming with a small group of people. Because for me, going to game cons is kind of odd if you're there to play games, because how many people do I like playing games with? Like a small group. So I'm going to pay $200 for admission plus travel and accommodations to go up to a big con and then play games with small groups of people. But I suppose it's more to get everybody together and actually meet a bunch of people that you're interacting with online, which is kind of cool. But I am afraid to do that now because so many people will realize that I'm short. So yeah.
We can't have that.
No. I posted that picture of you and me together, and do you know what all the comments said? All the comments are like, how tall are you? 4 feet? Wow, you're so tiny. Harmony's little. Oh no, she can't be that little. He must be a giant. But
first of all, she's not that small. She was just standing far away from me.
No, okay? I wasn't.
It's forced perspective, guys. Okay, she's actually 5'11", 5'12". She was a power forward at the University of Indiana's women's basketball team, but
I don't even think they had one.
I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here. But I said, yeah, she's a foot taller than me. It was just a trick of the camera, guys. I think she photoshopped it to make it look like that after the fact. Just went in, just use the tool, just scale it and photoshopped in my arm. Wheeling Dragon is asking the important questions. Mm-hmm. What is the kitty's name?
This is Calypso. She's a fat ass, and she's angry because I didn't feed her enough. But I did. There's literally food in her bowl. You can almost kind of see it. There's food in there. She's just angry that she can see the bottom. Come here.
Yes. when produces, she says otherwise.
Yeah. No, she
Yeah.
she doesn't believe me. She's not gonna go check. She's going to go beg me to feed her. And then when I go over there to feed her, she'll look and be like, oh yeah, I was there the whole time.
Yeah, Dicedale says her cat is actually the size of a Great Dane.
Yeah.
I hope you're okay with dogs, because if you're ever over here at Castle Delve, you'll have to meet Zeus.
I'm sure I'll survive.
Yeah, my wife's cat.
Wait. You also name your animals after Greek mythology. I have Calypso and Persephone is over there somewhere.
Yes.
So we have the
Excellent.
same inspiration. Yeah.
But my wife's cat, Lexi, I jokingly refer to her as my co-producer. She's the only cat that likes to come out into my office. My younger daughter's cat, Scout, and my older daughter's cat, Daisy, want nothing to do with anything back here, ever, at all, ever. Lexi practically lives back here. And audience, if I have any of my regular, if this isn't just entirely Harmony's gaming group in the audience, 42 people watching.
Yeah, that's like one group. No, it'd be one group if I was you, but
yeah, it's just a small group. Yeah, it's just 40 players.
yeah.
But they've seen before. I've been sitting here, and it's like, well, it's like Hasbro's screwed the Poach Can guys, and we're gonna be, and then you'll just see Lexi's tail like bobbing along through the camera because she'll hop up on the table and walk across. So yeah, she's the little studio co-producer. Fortunately, she's not the cable chewing type, so I haven't had to deal with that.
Okay, well that's good. I can't wait to meet her.
Yes, she's adorable.
Yeah, I will be going into the studio soon. I don't know when. I think like we're planning on a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we was gonna pull you in over here to my undisclosed location. We'll get you a key card and handprint scan so you can make it through the vaulted doors into the bunker.
All right, but just yeah. Great. I was gonna make a joke, but I'm not going to.
No, that's okay. But yes, you will be in studio for a show, and I hope maybe we can drag some of this gaming group of yours on for a chat session too. That might be interesting.
That's what I was hoping. Yeah, we'll schedule one.
Yeah, definitely.
Bill's Tuesday night games. I can't. I'm normally on stream on a T-shirt at Historian's channel on Tuesday nights.
Yeah. We've got our 9 to 11 first edition AD&D game. We've got going that.
Oh yeah, that's technically after that. I think his stream's 8 to 9, right? I don't actually remember. I just show up when he sends me the link.
Yeah, there you go. Hello, the Roots.
I like This Week in Geek though.
Good night, Emmy. Have a lovely evening.
Good night, Emmy. It's good to have you here.
Indeed, right? Indeed. But
so go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Have I answered all your questions about one-to-one time? Like, do you feel like you understand it now?
I feel like I do understand it, and I understood it better than I thought I did.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. I was making a bigger deal out of it in my head than it actually was.
No, it's not that big of a deal, I don't think. It's not incredibly disruptive to the flow of a game.
It's not.
I wouldn't say so, at least.
It isn't. I mean, you might never break me of my let's just press pause in the dungeon in the middle of the fight thing, but otherwise I like it. I like the even more organic living worldness of it than I was already doing. We have a question here from Kabuki. What other tabletop RPGs do you enjoy?
So I actually am mostly a player of Dungeons and Dragons right now. Now, other TTRPGs I've played several of them. I played Call of Cthulhu, and I occasionally enjoy playing in one-shots of that. I've played some Pathfinder, Numenera, Shadowrun. I almost said Shadow Dark because I have a friend trying to get me into that. No, I have not played Shadow Dark. I almost said it. But I played Shadowrun. I played oh God, what else? I'm missing something big. But I played several editions of D&D. But generally stick with mostly those. I'm not actually too concerned about different systems. I know it's like heretical in this space, it seems, but my enjoyment is mostly based on the players creating a living world and the group together. It's my enjoyment is not much based on the system. Like I'm not somebody that cares a whole lot about system, if that makes sense. As long as it works well enough, I'm not looking for other systems to refine it better. I don't much care about that. I care about running a clean, tight game where players can affect the world. And yeah, let's see. I'm looking at another question in chat. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Is it the blind weasel
Yeah,
question
it's
there?
that one. What happens if
Okay.
other events? Oh, you want to read it?
What happens if other events during downtime, like interactions with patrons, affect the location of the PCs after their session? Like the city gets nuked. Roll a new character at that point?
So, first of all, that is probably unlikely to happen without character input. Like, if somebody was planning to nuke the city, and the players had completely ignored all signs that the city was going to get nuked for many sessions in a row for like and they just kind of ignored it and gone on, then there might actually be a cool way to just nuke the city and be like, yeah, you see all these pieces of the puzzle, they were planning this the whole time, and the players might have a big like, oh shit, can I swear on your stream? Wait, I just said
absolutely.
shit. That's a swear. Okay. They might have a really big, like, oh shit, we fucked up moment. And that would be really cool, actually, if they did that and we nuked one of the cities and then, they'd have new characters somewhere else. I like that idea. Oh, God, I am so sorry to my players who just had to read that. That's a cool idea. But no, so the general question, though, if something affects the PC's location, they will probably have a good idea that it's coming, first of all. And second of all, they will probably have the ability to stop it or at least get away from it. I don't see a situation where those wouldn't be true, if that makes sense. If they're completely ignoring all signs that something like that is coming and then something just comes in and wrecks the city, we might do a few rolls to see if anyone survives. I don't know. I don't see that happening in my game. That's like a really strange edge case, I think. All right, go on. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I think it's a perfectly valid question, but at the same time, there's, look, I'm just going to say it. You're a dick of a DM if you, let's say you're playing Cyberpunk, and everybody comes back and you're like, well, you're all going to have to roll up new characters in a city on the East Coast because right after we left, I decided that a terrorist set off a nuclear weapon in Minecraft, YouTube, in Night City. It's gone. Yeah, there was no indication that was going to happen. I just decided it happened. It's dark and edgy, baby. Or, the Tarrasque showed up and stomped the entire city of Greyhawk into ruin. Or
there was a Tarrasque coming, but like nobody like saw it until it was right here.
Yeah, exactly. Or, a swarm of death machines went through your settlement in Gamma World or whatever. I mean,
like 1d4
that isn't a one.
Tiamats.
Yeah, that isn't a 1-to-1 or 4-to-1 or a quick time or pause time thing. That is poor DMing. I don't care what time system you're using. If you pull while you guys were away from the table, all of your characters are dead, roll up new ones, you're a bad game master. That is a bad thing to do as a game master, and hopefully you will not do that again.
Sorry guys, I just rolled up 1d4 swarms of Tiamats today. No, you can't see the random encounter table, trust me.
Exactly. The there's just what's my source? I made it the fuck up.
Right.
And one, we're late enough in the stream I can say fuck, and two, we've covered tonight's ad money that I would have gotten with super chats quite nicely.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. So we're just fucking dandy now. So somebody was let's see. Oh no, this is what I said. Not if the Arachne wipe themselves out in a city. I get that reference. I got that reference.
Yeah. So in their homebrew world that they made, because I didn't make the world, the players made the world. We did this whole Bronstein style game. I could go into it, but I don't know that we have time for that. But anyway, the players like all made this world together. And the big issue right now with it is all of the wars going on right now are ice. The guy in the chat, Ice 543, they're all ice versus ice, and everybody else is caught in the crossfire. That's like every war in the world is like one of his civilizations trying to blow up another one of his civilizations and fighting. It's just ice versus ice. There's nothing else, and everyone else is trying to get them to stop killing themselves. It's great. Yep.
Now, Vincent said something here. Is I'd love to run a DM as a dick game where the players go in knowing characters they could arbitrarily die. The only game
like
that's
Tomb of Horrors? Go on.
No, the only RPG where that's sustainable is Paranoia, because everybody knows it's a joke. It's a joke. If you did that to me in a D&D game where, okay, you're walking down the hallway, Bill, your character dies, or you're walking down the city street, a nuke goes off, roll up new characters. I might laugh at it once. If you did it again, I'd be like, you know what? I got stuff to do. I got places to be. I'm going to go build some settlements in Fallout 4. I'll see you guys later.
Paranoia
Michael says I should do. I don't know if that was at me or if that was at Harmony.
I think it was at you. I think you should do a Paranoia live stream. I think they want to see me play and die over and over. For some reason, I found that people on the internet love watching me in pain.
Anyway, so
no, not like.
I do have to stay monetized at least a little bit now. Harmony, come on. Let me ask you something. Oh, Jack Photon is here. Awesome. Thank you. Hopefully you will be able to check out that email, but I want to put this up. I'm going to sideline whatever the hell it was I was going to say, because it's gone out of my head now. Anyway, Jack says, Star Trek has a lot of one-to-one as a landing party can affect the ship, which can affect the landing party. But gaming out the weeks and months of interstellar travel between planets,
Yeah, I'm going to be perfectly honest about one-to-one. I have never implemented it in a space travel game, and I don't know that I would, and I don't see myself running something like that anytime soon. I'm not really sure how that would affect it, and I have nothing else to say about one-to-one on space travel. That is for somebody much smarter than me who has more experience running that sort of game to comment on.
Well, I think I think Jack is very right. I mean, how many episodes at least now? When I say Star Trek, yes, I'm getting my old man pants on here. I'm talking about the 1960s series and the animated series after that, strictly because I don't know other Star Treks. I still think of TNG as the new Star Trek show. Mm-hmm. We're further from that now than we were from the original Star Trek when TNG came out. I get it. But in at least in the original series, it was almost a one-to-one time because, we're on, Gamma Beltway 5 and now we're on Upsilon Cygni 6.
Yeah.
From episode to episode, and we don't worry about the boring space flight in between. But now that we beam down the away team and, oh no, our transporters have malfunctioned, and for some reason we've forgotten that we have shuttles, the 47 minutes that the crew is down on the planet fighting, the guy in the cardboard and rubber suit, and Spock is up there trying to get the transporters working again, and Kirk is down on the planet going, he's got a ray gun. There's that is all happening in one-to-one time. It's like what's going on the ship affects the people down there.
Yeah.
What they do might affect the people up there.
Sure. I would definitely say it's an important distinction that one-to-one time in general is a colloquial, just shortened version, like a shorthand version of the rule. And it really makes sense only when applied to the game world as a whole and out of game time, more so than in game time. In game time is not one-to-one, and it won't be one-to-one. That's not what we're talking about. I don't think that's what anyone's talking about. So it's a little bit different, but still, I will definitely agree with you. I don't think one-to-one time is a good fit for a game where you take months or years to travel from planet to planet. Makes no sense. And also, if you're not on a single world tracking the seasons, holidays, and stuff, who cares about the calendar? It's a little bit of a different situation entirely.
Right on.
You probably don't even need to use the same calendar as the real world.
Right.
I don't know enough about Shadow Dark to comment on Shadow Dark. The only thing I know about Shadow Dark is never mind. I'm not even going to say that. I think if it's the one I'm thinking of, I think that no, never mind. I'm not sure if it's the one I'm thinking of. I'm not going to say it. Let's go on. I've heard good things about the community is all I'll say.
So let me ask you a Greebly question then. How strict are you about resource tracking?
Okay, so it depends. Different
I
games.
just open up a can of worms.
So kind of, yeah. In different games, I'm more strict than others. In some of my games, I will say, hey, if it adds to your immersion, then by all means track your torches and your arrows. But I'm not going to sit here and police your character sheets, which is basically what I do. I told my one-to-one game they should be, if you want to, okay, I used to saying, yeah, I'm not strict about it, but I have been trying to get more strict about it because in some games I'm like, all right, you should be tracking this, but like, I'm not going to like hover over you and police your character sheets. I have better uses of my time. And I also like to offer people options on, all right, if you want to spend this amount of gold now, I'm never going to ask you about your resources, about your rations or your torches. We could just say you have spent 10 gold on arrows and you have a stock at home. As long as you can get home, you can get more arrows. If you are in a dungeon, however, I have told my players, if you are in a big dungeon and you can't get out of there easily, then yeah, you should be tracking your resources. If you are just up in a town and you can pop over to the Fletcher's shop to get more arrows, I don't care. I have better things to spend my mental energy on. I don't police it, but I think people should track it. But also, if they want to just pay in a lump sum and just say they continue to go home and replenish, that's fine.
Right on. I am much the same way, unless, again, it is in the thick of exploration. The guy that plays the short bow using thief in my Monday night game is very good about tracking his arrows. And he'll PM me like quiver's half empty, quiver's a quarter of the way empty. I'm firing my last 2 arrows, which I really appreciate, because in AD&D you can recover about 50% of the missiles you've expended. Mm-hmm. So you can go back and pick up arrows, and I'll say, oh, okay, you fired 12 arrows in this combat, so you're able to get 6 that weren't broken or just lost somewhere in the distance. Okay, and then you fire off those 6, you can get back 3, and so on and etc. So but like you, I generally speaking will let the players keep track of it. Back when the Monday group, so you were flabbergasted by 11 players. They had 36 men under arms accompanying them. So it was them, some heavy foot, some light foot, and some heavy horse accompanying them.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, that, that was okay. So we need 36. It's going to be a week to get to this place.
Mhm.
That's 36 times 7 days of rations we have to buy,
Yeah,
and then,
it is. It does start to get expensive when you're outfitting an army. Yeah.
yeah. And they got very, very, very good at keeping track of that. And now they're at the point where I know nobody's going to be like, Bill doesn't realize it, but I've used my sling 750 times and never paid for a single bullet, And there's other things too. There's like spell. Go ahead.
Yeah, people will cheat that way. I mean, people are going to hand wave resources. At the end of the day, I'm not going to use my time to count the number of arrows you fire and then go to your character sheet and see that you're picking up exactly half of them. That's not a good use of my time. If that's the way you want to cheat in my game and you want to save 3 silver and 1 pound of bag space by doing so, like, I don't like it, but at the same time, I'm not going to spend my time policing it. Oh, it's Crafty Matt.
Yeah, hey, Crafty Matt, good to see you. Dice Tale says, I feel like an Excel spreadsheet is about to join us in chat. I have an Excel spreadsheet I keep for everybody's characters, but that's for another. So when you have 11, that's, that'll happen. I was going to mention also that there's a juncture at which you're just cheating yourself,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you absolutely should. You should track ammunition. You should track rations. However, I just don't think it's a good use of the DM's time to just check your character sheet and make sure you are. That's stupid. I have better things to do. That's on you.
Yeah. Lux says I need to fill up a bag of holding with sling bullets. There you go.
Oh man. The bags of holding, if you have a bag of holding, you can just spend a lump sum of money and I will never care about your resources again. Really. If you just stick them in there with a lump sum of money, I don't care. I do have one group that they ended up putting what I call the staff of constant alarm in a bag of holding. And so whenever they open it, it screams. So if they're trying to get in there to remove an arrow stealthily and they open it up, they just completely lose their stealth, but I don't think they keep their arrows in there anyway. Yeah, they call it their flashbang because it also has sunlight in it. It's really dumb. They made it. Anyway, we can go on. Oh, geez, we're at an hour and a half.
We are at an hour and a half. I am at your disposal. So, if we had some wall where you're like, I can't anymore, then please, by all means,
well, I understand.
Blink SOS, make a hand gesture or something, and we'll
all right, I'll start I'll start dog whistling at the chat or something. I don't know. All
right, my AD&D game isn't until 10 o'clock, so
yeah, okay.
So it'll stop in 90 minutes at worst.
Oh well, that's good. I will probably start begging to please let me leave before then. I don't have unlimited stamina, unfortunately.
I understand.
Yeah.
The other resource I was going to mention is spell components are a big thing in AD&D, and I do ask that Magic users keep track of spell components when they matter.
Yeah.
Fireball requires a pinch of sulfur and a bit of bat guano. That you're in a dungeon, you're going to find bat guano everywhere. The spell components is spider webs and a couple of sticks. You're in a dungeon, you're going to find spider webs and a couple of sticks. It's not a big deal, guys. There's some stuff like, Cacodemon requires a 5,000 gold piece value ruby to be ground up and, write the name of the demon in blood on a piece of pure vellum and sprinkle that's a different matter altogether.
Yeah, I agree. So I will say in later editions, there is a kind of hand wave thing. I don't know about in AD&D, but in later editions, a lot of spellcasters can get past it with a with a spellcasting focus, which if they aren't like material components that have a cost to them, a spellcasting focus generally covers it. But yeah, I have my players know they need to have the components if they have a cost to them. So long as I don't fail a saving throw. Oh God, I do not have that much stamina. Can I answer Vincent's question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All
Vincent, whoops.
Yeah.
That's
Wrong
the
one.
chat moved up before
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
get there.
I
How
understand.
do we watch your games, assuming you haven't posted them online?
Right. So I don't host them online. And I don't for the simple reason of I think it makes my games actively worse to be in front of an audience. I think with games, it's important that everyone has kind of the small group feel. Like, I don't want to be performing for 50 people. I want to be performing for 5 people. And I want my players to feel the same. Like, I don't want anyone who is nervous because there are people online or afraid they're going to say something that's going to get a mob sent after them or something, because it's a game. We're there to have fun and we're there to spend time with each other. So I do not host games online, and I in fact find that the feel of my game would probably be ruined if I did. I've definitely thought about it though. But I kind of landed on it's probably not for me. However, I am going to stop stream hopping and eventually start my own thing. I'm on Sunday nights. I'm hoping to get that off the ground this week on my YouTube. I mean, you could subscribe now. There's nothing on it though, so it's your loss.
Well, it's good to get preloaded. So, what is your what is your @ here on YouTube?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to get as many of my players together from my one-to-one game as we can, so that we can do like we kind of did on Dunder Moose's stream and kind of get together and answer some questions about it, because it seems like a lot of people don't really understand what we mean when we say we're doing this one-to-one, or a lot of people want to hear about exactly how the world was built between the players, since this world that we're playing in is not my world, it's their world. I had very little creative input when it came to building the world. That was mostly theirs. And a lot of people have questions about that. And so I'm hoping to get my players together probably this week. I'll kind of be in touch a little bit more on Twitter about it if you want to follow me there. But I'm hoping to get my players together and see if you guys can hear it more from a player perspective, if that makes sense. That's kind of what I want to open with. And then from there, we'll just kind of see how things flow. And, hey, maybe you can come on mine. That would be cool, right?
I said earlier, I would be honored to be a guest on your live stream. So where can folks find you on YouTube? Because I believe in preloading.
Yeah, I'm just Harmony Ginger on YouTube. I'll just send a message in a chat. You can go from there. I'm pretty sure.
Sure.
Yeah, they're easy. See, I'm in the chat. But I'm just Harmony Ginger on YouTube with an underscore. You can find me. It's pretty easy. I have 0 videos, but like people sub anyway. Like I had like 20 something subs before I even mentioned doing anything on YouTube. And I was like, man, I don't know why you're subbing to me. I don't have anything here. But I might stream a live game. It would be like more of a one shot. It wouldn't be a campaign. Yeah, there you go. That one.
There we go. There you go, folks. Go and subscribe to her.
But, oh, thank you. But yeah, I'm hoping to get stuff off the ground this Sunday, but we'll see what happens, because I want yeses from a certain number of my players, and for some of them, this might be the first time they hear about it. So. Yeah, by the way, B, you want to be on my channel on Sunday night? Yeah, okay. No. All right.
Well, there you go. You're gaining subscribers already. I absolutely
I'm really making it.
I really believe, and I have said this since I started this, this isn't 1970s television where you can watch NBC, CBS, ABC, or your PBS channel, and that's it. And if you missed it, you missed it. A rising tide truly lifts all boats. And, I'll say, yes, absolutely. Go watch T-Shirt, go watch Nerd Cognito, go watch Dungeon Minister, go just anybody, because you're not in competition with me. Nobody, we aren't in, it's one big happy YouTube. And if you miss a live stream, you can go watch it later. I have put on more live streams in the background that I missed after the fact to enjoy that I have can easily remember. So, it's a lot of fun.
This is very important. Highlight Matt's comment. It's important. We have Timothy Dalton in the chat. Matt's cat. You see, he is taking a nap on Matt's keyboard right now because Matt is AFK and went to get coffee. This is my headcanon. It's probably true. Hello, Timothy Dalton.
That or Matt just had a stroke.
See?
There you go. Well, Timothy says hi.
Oh, it's Diversity in Dragons.
And of course, diversity.
Yeah, no, him too.
I said
He's awesome.
lots of people. Okay, there's so many good TTRPG YouTube channels now. Diversity in Dragons that I can't easily remember them all. Diversity in Dragons. So you'll have to pardon me if I don't remember to mention them all by name. Diversity in Dragons here when I'm talking about cool YouTube channels. Diversity in Dragons. Happy. I just had to.
I had the pleasure of meeting him the other day on T-Shirts live stream. He seemed like a very nice guy.
Excellent. Wait, was that this past Saturday?
Yes, you were there.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I was there too.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gaslighting me now.
No, it's not my fault. You forgot you were there. That's on you.
That's on me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. QPF didn't catch that name. I've forgotten who it was. It's probably not important. QPF. I wouldn't worry about it. But no, I look forward to you being in this space. That's going to be good. And we can fight over guests now. No, they're going to be on my stream.
I don't know who want to be on mine. We'll see. I'm not very good at this hosting thing. We're just gonna go with it and see what happens.
Well,
yeah.
I hope when you hit your first million subs, you won't forget about all us
First million
guys down here in the streets, still scrabbling for the hard-earned $2 super.
Oh yeah, we'll see. I don't have high ambitions. I'm just doing it for fun. All right, I'm sorry. Go on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, Crafty asked if I couldn't guess Timothy Dalton's. That makes perfect sense.
He wears a shirt too. Have you seen him post pictures of him? He has such cute pictures of Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton is my favorite cat that I've never met before, because he posts pictures of him all the time, and he has these cute little shirts. And I know it's because he has allergies and licks himself too much, but it's so cute.
Oh. That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know how it work in Traveler 1-to-1. Jimmy Invictus, is that right? Yeah, I think it is.
Well,
I'm not sure how to work in Traveler.
When my co-host Kyle was running a Traveler game on Wednesday nights, whenever we would jump, he would say jumps take a minimum of a week. If you're going from one hex to another on the Traveler star map, it takes a week. You're spending a week in jump space. What are you doing? Nothing. You're sitting on the ship playing solitaire, playing Space Invaders on the 1970s technology computers because it's Traveler. That's it. That's all you're doing. So it was convenient for travel then. But
yeah, so I'm not really certain that 1-to-1 necessarily translates to every single RPG. I would never say that it does. It was in the I think it was described first, as far as I am aware, in book 3 of the original 3 OD&D books.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't know if it necessarily translates to every single RPG. I would not claim to know that.
If I was a better host, I might have had the section in the Dungeon Master's Guide about timekeeping open up, but see previous statement if I was a better host. James Seymour, James just got here. Crap, we're gonna have to start over. Okay, hey, it's good to see you guys. I'm sorry, Harmony, you're gonna have to be here for another hour and 48 minutes. No, just watch it all over again. Yeah, and I've heard the term West March is thrown around, Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
but there was there was between Crafty Matt's cat walking on the keyboard and somebody saying I had forgotten them. I don't remember who it was now.
I talked more about Crafty Matt's cat on the stream than I did about my own cat, so that should tell you something.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. So you're doing the YouTube thing. Have you thought exactly? And I have said, because I started, like, I used to, please never go watch my old videos, except the one about Keep on the Borderlands, but otherwise they're all not good. But
that's how it is with most people.
Yeah. I started streaming on Facebook, of all places, when the old human malware rolled in on us, and I said I would do it if one person was watching. If one person felt like they needed to connect to someone, I would do it.
Sure.
And that's been my mindset all along. I'm not here because I think I'm going to wake up one day and have 3 million viewers. At my current rate, I'll be, I think I did the math, 4,062. If I kept this live stream up, I would be 4,062 years old before I'd hit 1 million subs on this channel. So I'm not really super concerned about that. The jump that I got when I started reporting on Wizards of the Coast being stupid last winter was a huge shock to me. I was amazed that in the previous year I made it up to over 1,000 subscribers. And then it took me almost another full year to get 500. And then I dropped a couple of videos about the OGL. I went to bed with 1,500 and I woke up the next day and had like 2,600 subscribers.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that happens to me on Twitter. Like, I get like a couple per day, and then like I'll tweet something and then go to bed and wake up with like 200 more. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, it's absolutely bonkers how things can just take off like that. But I would still absolutely do this if it was just a tiny little channel, because I have fun doing this. And the day I decide, look, this just isn't fun anymore, I'm going to go do something else.
I've been doing the stream hopping thing for a while, between you and T-shirt and Dundermoose and Rolling Bones and stuff. I've been kind of just going to all different streams and talking about, what I think about TTRPGs. And it's been kind of fun so far, I'm enjoying this. It lets you get to know a lot of people.
Yeah. And, I hope, regardless, I mean, again, you have rolled out the welcome mat for me. You may have a hard time getting me to not show up to be on your show, or at least in the live stream audience. But this is the kind of collaboration I think that makes TTRPG YouTube great.
Yeah, the hobby is about bringing people together. It's not like something you can do alone. This isn't like knitting or like art or something that you can even do by yourself. You need other people. And so having a good community for this is just a good thing for all involved, just because, I mean, the whole hobby is about connecting.
Yeah, it really, really, really is. I mean, Gary was all about bringing people together and getting to sit here and play TV host, whether I have, Pat Kilbane on one week talking about his documentary about Gary Gygax, or somebody that I've gamed with for decades, or an awesome person who just happened to live in the Orlando area with me, who's starting her own YouTube channel. It's about it's about just getting together with people and having a good time, and not being bitter non-gamers. It's the channels where I see people in there, it's just like this constant grind of, the CEO of Hasbro, he stepped on a shoelace and broke it, so I guess Hasbro hates shoelaces, guys. More news later. Stay tuned for this. I think there needs to be kind of an understanding that we're all here to play and to have fun. And I just remembered the question I was going to ask you now, which is kind of a tangent to that. Any thoughts? Have you considered? Are you gonna publish your own RPG stuff, your own campaign stuff, adventures, anything like that?
God, I wish you could see my folders. I write so much, and yet I have so little that I'm willing to
Share it with
publish.
us, Harmony. Give
No,
it. That's your writings. Give them to us.
I have extreme publishing anxiety. So I have a lot of stuff written. I have a lot of random tables, a lot of smaller adventure stuff, some 5e stuff, but I have so much publishing anxiety. I do plan to eventually put out a couple things on maybe Drive Through RPG, but not at this point. Right now, I'm kind of taking it a week at a time, focusing on running my games for that week. I think she's alive. Why? What happened to her? Somebody's concerned about my cat. What'd she do? Okay. I don't know. But
Jimmy said hello
yeah,
to Miami, fellow Floridian, Sunshine State.
Yeah, she's good. She's just, being a fat ass as always. But I definitely have publishing anxiety, and I'm kind of focusing right now on getting a more consistent stream off the ground because would you stop making noises? You have food. All right. I'm sorry. But yeah, so I'm focusing right now on continuing to run my games and maybe getting a stream off the ground because I've been stream hopping for so long, going to all sorts of different streams and weighing in where I think I have some knowledge that I think it would just be better to start my own at this point.
Well, it has been an absolute gas having you here, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for Daniel Rowe pet the goddamn cat.
I will pet the cat. She was in my lap earlier. I was petting her earlier. She's just angry because she can see the bottom of her food bowl. And I'm talking at the computer. And when I'm talking at the computer, she knows that if she's bad enough, I will get up and I will fill up her food bowl to shut her up.
Yeah, just pick it up and rattle it a little bit over the counter and set it down. They won't know any different.
Do you know what she does? She picks that thing up and she bangs it against the floor to make as loud noises as she can. Yeah. Oh, she does. Way. I'm surprised she hasn't done that on the stream, actually. But yeah.
That is great. That's Zeus. When Zeus wants water in his dish, he goes in and angry drinks the dregs. I'll hear him slop, 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 and then he'll walk out here in my office and snort. And go back and do that over and over again. So,
yeah, my friends will be like, "Yeah, we hear the music. Feed your cat."
Great old ones. Good to see you. Dice Tales, thank you for hanging out. Is there anything else? Are there any topics that you'd like to cover in the last couple of minutes, Harmony?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we've basically covered everything. It was a fun interview. I enjoyed it.
Excellent. Thank you. You're going to be back by, right?
I assume so. If I'm invited.
Yes. It's an open invite. It's an open invite. I just want to make sure you'll take us up on it. So I just real quick want to run down. I want to say supers. Thank you, Vaughn, Lux, Michael, Black Lodge Games, and Flint Fireforge for a pair of super chats from him. So thank you all very much. Thank you, Harmony Ginger, for being here. Everybody, I'm going to be back tomorrow night playing some first edition AD&D, some more Greyhawk, some more fighting the slave lords. And Harmony, thank you for being here. And the rest of you guys, have a lovely evening. But whatever happens, do keep your eyes peeled for the dread owl bears. Peace. Good night. See you around.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. horse without a saddle, way off course. Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.